You're... Oh, you weren't recording?
Why wasn't
Oh.
Why would I? Why the fuck would I record that?
Because I could have made it. That would have been great. That would have been great. That would have been comedy gold. I could have made an edit of you getting dragged into the pits of hell.
All right. So here we'll redo it. We'll redo
No,
it.
it's not gonna be the same.
I have another cereal bar. Here. Hold on. I have another cereal
Right.
bar.
You
We
know,
can
we'll
start
do
again.
this. We'll do this for the show. Are you eating right now? There's a really good one I get. There's one that I get where it's like Chex Mix and chocolate and pretzels, and it's really good.
Oh, it's really good. I ate healthy food.
It's not healthy. It's not healthy. It's definitely not real. It's a cereal bar. Cereal's not healthy. It's the biggest American lie. Nothing is real. Nothing ever happens.
Nothing ever tastes like
Nothing.
strawberry.
What are we doing?
Don't let us go off and do bits. We're not doing. There's
Yeah.
no bit. Nothing's ever a bit. Nothing ever works. Let's just start.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Music Box, a show where I, Bimler, enjoyer of music, give an album to my friend, Pyrine.
Sorry, I'm still finishing up the cereal bar,
you-
but yeah, I'm Pyrine.
Give it a rest, man. The bit's already over. Just stop eating.
What? Give what a rest?
Stop eating! Yeah. Yeah, maybe you
Don't be
should.
fat.
No, I would never. You look great. This week's episode, we listened to Ants from Up There by Black Country New Road, sophomore record from British post-punk revival band Black Country New Road, featuring frontman at the time Isaac Wood and his frankly masterful songwriting, incredibly emotionally potent delivery, and some instrumentals that will just carry you through. I'm realizing I'm saying a lot of vague nothings right now. I'm gonna lay it out clear right here. This is my this is in my top 3 favorite albums ever. If you had to ask me, I'd say it was my second. I love this thing to death. I've been listening to it since shortly after it released, back in 2022, and I cannot sing its praises enough. So I'm not going to start now. I'm going to let you give some thoughts on this here record. Tell the audience about it. What is it? What is that? What is it to you, Mr. Pyrine?
Man, thoughts. Sometimes I have those.
I don't believe you.
Okay. That's set up and payoff right there for a bit we just did. Laugh at that one. Yeah, I don't know. Here's the thing. We first listened to this album like a week ago. I really liked it. I thought it was really good. Thought it was really beautiful. I thought it had a really good composition, really good lyrics, and I thought it was just very good. I will say right now, my opinion since then has slightly changed. In some areas, it's almost kind of inverted a little bit, and I have some things to say about this record that might make you a bit mad, but I will say overall, I think this record is very good. I think it's very solid, and I think it's one of those records that almost anyone could enjoy if you're just gonna listen to it. Maybe not love, but it does a lot of things that I think are just generally liked by most people when it comes to music, even like people that, age difference. If you're 6 years old, if you're 20 years old, it's the kind of thing I think most people could appreciate that kind of thing for. Actually, honestly, I want to say it's probably my biggest compliment I can give towards this album is that it actually is really accessible for a lot of people. Like, you don't really, in my opinion, you don't really need to have a whole lot of context to pull some enjoyment out of it, which I guess applies to a lot of music, but for this one, like specifically, I can imagine a lot of groups really getting into it, because it does a lot of things that I think... Okay, here's the thing. I might be a bit controversial in saying this, but I think some things, when it comes to music, can be considered, like, objectively good and bad when it's done. When there's something in, like, a song that's, universally a thing people can consider it objectively good. For example, when lyrics rhyme, that tends to be a thing that most people consider to be an objectively good thing, which is a low baseline. But still, I think this album does a lot of things that I consider myself to be objectively good. And I can really appreciate it for it. You know what I mean?
I mean, I guess so, but that's honestly not what I was expecting from you. Because when we first listened to the record, I remember you having a very intense reaction to it. At several points, you would say things along the line of, fuck you, why are you showing me music that's hurting me? Stuff along those lines. And, I mean, yeah, this album does that. It's a very emotionally intense listen. For the viewers and for people who haven't heard it or haven't really interpreted it in that way, this record is largely about a long-distance abusive relationship. It has reoccurring themes throughout the record of that distance and disconnect, of using this metaphor of the Concorde, which is the connection to the Concorde fallacy, aka the sunk cost fallacy. And it's a very emotional project, even in Isaac Wood's vocals, which I think would be my counterpoint almost to you saying it's accessible. I remember I showed one of the songs on this record ages ago to my mom. I think it was Good Will Hunting. And she was like, it was fine, but I hate the guy's vocals because they're so, like, drowned in emotion. And I love them for that reason. I don't think there is a vocal performer that is more heavy on the feels than Isaac Wood, because of just how much of himself he pours into it. And I think that does make it a little bit less musically proficient, but it hits harder for me, and I think it does a service to the music, especially when the instrumentals are already as like beautiful as they are. It's kind of an interesting contrast in my eyes.
Okay, I will say, okay, well, let's just talk about this right now, because you already brought him up, Mr. Isaac Wood, the vocalist, lead singer on this album. When your mom said that, I kind of understand where she's coming from, where she says that, because I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with Isaac Wood's performance, in the fact that when it's good, but I don't think his voice always fits. It's kind of like a car seat headrest situation for me, except a little bit less extreme, where I think Isaac Wood does a very, very good job when he's in his element, and that's when he's specifically drawing upon really just blooming emotional moments where he is like pushing every single aspect of a song to its extreme. That's when he exceeds. That's when he really, really does good. But I can also see what she means. There's a lot of just like long, drawn out moments that I think he does less good on. It's not really even a case of his performance. I don't even think, because he's clearly a very talented singer, but it might just be, in my opinion, I don't always care for the way he does it. Which I guess kind of does take away from my accessibility thing, but I still feel like, even despite his performance, you can still take something a lot out of at least a few of the songs from this album, like in like individual parts of it. And if you don't like some of the individual parts where it's more musical, you might take something more out of his performance. It's kind of like there's bits and pieces there that I feel like everyone could enjoy.
I guess so. I mean, I definitely think there are aspects of this record that anybody can like. The instrumentals being one of them. I mean, just straight up, it is gorgeous. Very wide array of instruments used here. I mean, it's a big band. You've got strings, you've got horns, you've got pianos, you've got guitars. The whole ensemble is here in this chamber poppy, post-rock kind of sound. And even in songs that don't follow that kind of format, like Chaos Space Marine, I think would be the biggest outlier. Is like, that song is just fun. I think anybody can get behind it. I remember that was another one I actually showed my parents. I'm mentioning them an unusual amount of times in this video, but I showed them that song ages ago, and they were like, "Oh, this is very My Chemical Romance-y, like the Black Parade." I was like, "What? Okay, sure, yeah, why not? Let's go with that." But I kind of see where they're coming from. It's very grandiose, but at the same time, it's very energetic and it's memorable. Similar to that record, even though the sounds are very different. So I kind of get it. But yeah, there's definitely something to love on this record, but in terms of its less desirable bits, I guess I would say, I And when I say less desirable, I mean like more of an acquired taste, or not everybody's going to like it. And for me, that comes from, yes, the vocals, which we've kind of gone over, but a lot of the themes and lyrical writing on this record. One of the glaring things that I actually hear a lot of detractors of this record and band complain about are the more like pop culture referencey lyrics. For example, one of the recurring lines on this record is "She had Billie Eilish style." Some people hear that and they think it's annoying or corny. I think it's cool. I think it's neat and it gives a bit of a personal touch to the record, as it kind of makes it feel more like, I don't want to say relatable because that sounds so ungodly lame, but like, I don't know. It kind of brings it down to earth a little bit, as that feels more like a thought somebody would have, than a sort of, ooh, let's grab at this pop culture thing and make a reference to it. It's like when you hear that, you know exactly what he means by Billie Eilish style, right? That's probably like my biggest, or like any of the Chaos Space Marine as a song referencing Warhammer. I didn't even know that was referencing Warhammer until like a year into listening to the record, and then I was like, oh, that's Warhammer. Okay. But yeah, stuff like that I don't think takes away from it. What about, like, what do you think on that?
I don't know. That's another thing I'm kind of like half and half on, because I do agree with what you say. It's like it definitely does feel organic at times, but it sometimes also just kind of sticks out and can be a little bit corny to me. It really just depends on the context of which it's used. I don't think the way they use it is inherently like a bad way to do it. I think, to me, I probably agree with the general sentiment that Billie Eilish is kind of corny. Whenever I hear that, it's like, oh, that's Billie Eilish. It's you know, it's like when you play like a horror game and they make a reference to like Markiplier or something, and it's like, it's Markiplier. It kind of takes you a bit out of it, because it's like you're trying to immerse yourself in whatever world is being crafted, and as soon as you're making like a pop culture reference, boom, you're ripped out of it. And even for a song like, you know, Chaos Space Marine, where it's kind of just the title, and I think they only say it once during the entire song. To me, I can't really think of Chaos Space Marine without thinking about Warhammer, which, by the way, is a topic I am very much obsessed with.
Yeah, not
so
me.
Of course I'm going to think about it when I, you know, listen to Chaos Space Marine. I'm going to think about Warhammer, and it's that, to me, kind of hurts some of the enjoyment. And I can imagine something similar happening with like Billie Eilish fans, but it's not like a deal breaker for me at all. I don't think the way they do it inherently hurts the album too much. It's just kind of a thing where it's like, oh, I just kind of wish they didn't do that, but it's not a huge deal.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's fair. I kind of disagree with it ripping you out with the Billie Eilish thing. I already explained my reasoning on that. I understand that some writing does do that, but I don't think it does here, just because of how it's executed. But also, I can't really speak on the Chaos Space Marine thing, because, like I said, I didn't even know it was referencing Warhammer for the longest time. Like when I hear Chaos Space Marine in the topic of Warhammer, I think of the Black Country New Road song. It's like reverse for me, which I think is kind of funny. But in terms of other aspects of the record, I talked about how its instrumentation is a more accessible bit of the record, but I think its sound, more specifically its progressions and the way certain songs build and move, may be less accessible to some. A big stinker that I'm thinking about right now is Basketball Shoes, which we'll talk about at some point. But I want to talk on an earlier track because it is a personal highlight for me. I remember you liking it a lot, but I do think it has this trait, and that song is Bread Song. I adore this track, but it took me so long to like it, like as much as I do, because it is so slow and it is so downtrodden. And I feel like if you just show that to somebody who's like not crazy and obsessed with music like that, it'll just go like, they'll probably go, you know?
It's so funny. You point out the two songs that I had the biggest issue with on this entire record to bring up. Yes. Less so Bread Song, because actually I do quite enjoy Bread Song, but Bread Song, I 100% agree with what you just said. It can draw out. The word, okay, so here's the thing. I listen to a lot of this music whenever I'm in the car doing things like work or whatever, moving between, school, in between our like recording sessions, just so I can get a kind of general sense of the vibe. I sit down before, like we end up recording sessions, take my own notes, but most of the time I kind of go off the vibes. And Bread Song to me is usually the one of the two I just end up skipping, not because it's like bad, but it's just, if you're not engaging with it actively and trying to draw what it's doing out of it, I think it's less enjoyable than the music around it. I don't think it's the worst song. I don't think I'd even put it in like the top. No. I'm going to retract what I just said. I don't think it's the worst song. I don't even think it's bad at all. I think it's very enjoyable. And I can usually sit through it if I'm actually trying to sit down and like enjoy it. But the word that kept coming to my mind when I was listening to it, I'm just gonna be blunt, was pretentious. It kind of came off as a little bit pretentious to me.
No.
It's just, if that word keeps coming to my head, I can't ignore it. Like, I don't know. The way it just goes and just goes on and on and on. It doesn't really kind of move anywhere to me. It just sort of sits there without much backing it up with style of substance. Kind of just makes me lose interest.
Okay, I'm gonna bash heads hard with you on this one. I wanna, and correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like probably the biggest and most like pretentious part of the song is its chorus.
Yes, I agree 100%. I was about to say
I like the way it is kind of so grand in the song, how everything swells to match it, and the lyrics come off as very not that. By contrast, I think that's really cool. Especially with what the metaphor is, the fact that it's talking about don't eat your toast in my bed, but the song makes it sound like it's the end of the fucking world, because in terms of what it's describing, that's how it feels. That's a like direct metaphor for being denied intimacy or some kind of closer connection, and that can feel like what the instrumentals are communicating, and I love that about the song. I think it really hits that nail on the head. I don't find it pretentious at all. I find it deserved. In terms of the rest of the track, though, God, this song might have the best lyrics on the whole record. Like, there's so many vivid images that it paints in the song. I love the start of the next verse. You furnished your suffering, and you played a good organ, and the world gathered singing good words that you'd stolen. Oh my God. that like, oh, I love it. It's very poetic. It's very artsy, and I guess that's probably where you draw a little bit of the pretentiousness from, but I honestly love it. And in the I think it's the end of the first verse, yeah, when he talks about, I burned scented candles there, I hung some good pictures where the paintwork was perfect, so no one could doubt it, I was still losing. I love that symbolism in him saying, I made everything nice and neat and perfect and beautiful to mask the fact that I'm a fucking wreck, and then I feel awful. But it didn't work, and everybody kind of saw through it. And I think that's really, really cool, and I like it when it does stuff like that. But yeah,
wrong and stupid. Why don't you consider that one? Just consider that.
I'm sorry.
For a moment.
But yeah, Brett's song is definitely a favorite for me. Another one that I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on, though, in a similar nature, and I like it for a similar reason, is my favorite song on the whole record, Haldern. What are your thoughts on that track?
Well, before I say that, I will say one thing about this album that I don't think really, for the most part, outside of like the original corny thing I said about pop culture references, that doesn't miss, is the lyrication. Like, the lyrics of this entire album, I think, are just generally very, very, very good. In fact, I might say there is one specific bit of lyric, like, there's one specific bar, essentially, that I think might be just generally the best lyric I've ever heard. It's not in Haldern, by the way. But I'll get to that in a second.
I think I know which one it is.
I remember when
but I'll pen it.
You probably know exactly which one it is. But as for Haldern itself, I really like Haldern. I don't think it's a favorite of mine. I don't think it's something that blew me away when I actually started getting into it. But as an initial impression, it probably was my favorite to kind of start out. I think Haldern, to me, might even kind of encapsulate that idea of me, the idea of this album being accessible, because if that's the first impression for they was kind of my favorite song taking away from this album, that to me kind of says it all. Because Haldern is just very, very beautiful. It is a song that is written like poetry. It is a song that slowly progresses and slowly drags things out. It blooms, it condenses, and it really shows how Mr. Isaac Brown's his performance just absolutely shines here. I think this is probably, Haldern actually might be one of his best performances in the entire album. And I really like it for that. I don't think I'd put it in the top 3 for me, but I always get happy whenever I listen to it.
Yeah, no. Haldern is, I like, if somebody asks me ever, and they say, what's the most beautiful song you've ever heard? I would say it's Haldern, on top of it just being one of my favorites. Like I said, it's my favorite on the record. It is written just straight up like a poem. Like, you could actually just take the lyric sheet from the record and just be like do a slam poetry of it. Like, I feel like, It paints very nice, simple images with very few words. The instrumentals that accompany it build masterfully into a really, really cool and intense, like, tension-filled climax, which I think very kind of perfectly ends what I would consider the first half of the record. Basically pre-Mark's theme, as I feel like that's the break in the record. But, yeah, I love it. It's really good. I want to take a guess, though, at what your favorite lyrical bit on the record is, and I have 2.
You'll probably get
I had
You'll
one,
probably get it.
And I have 2 now. But guessing the second one, I thought, because I know you just said you don't really like that other track, which I am very excited to talk about. My first guess was the chorus of Concord. And you like Concord, I came a gentle hill racer. I was breathless upon every mountain just to look for your light. Was it that one?
Incorrect, but I did actually quite like that one a lot. But incorrect.
A second one was off of Basketball Shoes, which is why I didn't think it was the one. But it is another one that I think everybody kind of generally likes, which is just the line, "Your generous loan to me, your crippling interest." But I don't know if that was the one either.
Also incorrect.
What
you
is
failed
it?
Twice.
Tell me. She's not that
It is in
hard
Good
to
Will
find. Oh.
It is.
Hey, that was one I was just saying.
And we're on a burning starship. The escape pod's filled with your friends.
I love that
your
verse.
childhood film photos. There's no room for me to go.
Oh,
I'd wait there. Float within a wreckage.
Fashion along sword. Traverse the Milky Way. Trying to get home
to you. And bring some
you.
Piece of the stars. That's one of those lyrics that just hurts. It hurts, dude.
It's
hurts.
really good.
It's like,
it is really good.
Oh.
I think I said that to you when we first listened to the record. I was like, this is probably the best verse on the whole album. Like, it's really good.
I agree. It is the best lyric. Like, it's so fucking it's painful, because the idea is basically, oh my god, that burning starship over there, the escape pods, all your friends are on there, and all the memories that you have are on there. I don't got any of those. I don't got any fucking friends. I don't got any memories. I'm like nothing, and you're like everything.
Right.
And Jesus Christ, that hurts.
It is the feeling of, like, you are neglecting me, and I am a low priority in your life, but I will still do anything for you. And that's how much you mean to me. Like, Jesus. It's so good. Like, that, it's a really good line.
I actually didn't really interpret it in that way. Like, you keep mentioning that this is a bit of, like an album talking about an abusive relationship. I didn't really interpret it in that way. It definitely was about a relationship, but it's more like a relationship with someone who's inherently bad for a person, because just their presence is kind of detrimental. And this, to me, like, that line is basically, I don't really have anything, and you are the only person that provides anything. I can't see myself having anything worth of value. You have value, and I have to attach myself to you to have something, and I will do anything to keep that attachment. That's something I understand. A lot of like the relationships I used to form back in the hell, kind of still now, were kind of based off that concept. Because I personally don't feel like I got a lot going on in my life, and it's like, yeah, that person is interesting. I'm gonna go fuck around with them. And to me, it's kind of like the person in question kind of realizes this, and it's like, dude, you need to actually have friends and have like a relationship with someone that's not me, because I can't be like this sole person in your life to provide everything. I can't do everything for you. I can't be all this stuff that you need me to be for you. It's just not possible, because there's eventually going to be, some kind of disappointment or failure. I don't really see it as an abusive relationship. I'd more see it as just like a relationship that is bound to fail based off of the nature of the people in it. Like a doomed relationship, more like it, I think.
I mean, yeah, I can kind of see that, but I don't know. With the way that the rest of the songs and the record as a whole kind of paint this picture, I think kind of both interpretations are correct. Like, Isaac does feel in this song worthless without that other person, which probably plays a motivation into him saying he would wait there and float with the wreckage, and he would traverse the Milky Way trying to get home. Like, that he would do all of that because that's like all he has. But yeah, no, really great lyric, really great song. Love Good Will Hunting. But I want to talk about a track that we've kind of danced around a little bit, and I know we're going to have very differing opinions on. I kind of knew that when we first listened to it as well. I was hoping it would grow on you. It appears it has not. Let's talk about Basketball Shoes, the closing track on the record. What do you have to say about it?
Basketball Shoes is a 12-minute and 37-second song. It's the last song in the entire record.
Mm-hmm.
I think that if Basketball Shoes was not the last song, if it was a single in another album, I would be fine with it. But as the last song that comes after a 7-minute song and a 9-minute song, in the way that it just kind of draws and drags, actually, to me, makes it hard for me to even sit through it sometimes.
Wow.
It is easily my least favorite song on the record.
Dang. That's tough. Now, me, okay. First of all, I do want to mention a fun fact about Basketball Shoes. That was written before their first album came out. This is their second record, and they played it live a lot before putting it on Answer Me Up There. So it, for a long time, it kind of was considered a single, like on its own. But in terms of the song, in the context of the record and the song itself, to me, I think it actually earns its pacing and length, as it is the grand finale to the whole record, and what it builds up to is easily the most satisfying moment on the record to me, being just the end of the song, basically. And it really feels like it's kind of pulling us through again all of a lot of the feelings that the album has previously given us. I kind of split this track into 3 segments, being like the first maybe like third or half, which, let me grab some lyrics as sampling here so I can kind of explain that part. Hold on, where is it? Spotify, help me. What are you doing? What's your problem? I'm sorry, that was mean.
What? What?
Yeah, the whole Concord flies in my room, tears the house to shreds. The I'm feeling kind of normal with a packed lunch bit. On my dad's sofa, we are still, and we never look at my phones, up to that bit. Which I consider the first section of the song, which I think very much wraps up a lot of the themes of the record. The Concord flies in my room, tears the house to shreds, is the last direct acknowledgement of the Concord, which is like a theme recurring through this record. And that recognition that it's destroying everything. It's ripping the house to shreds. The house could be interpreted literally or metaphorically as like my life. And a lot of the lyrics in that first bit of the song describe this sort of realization and the anxiety that follows, especially when it comes to, sorry, my brain turned off.
Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up.
Anxiety when it comes to change, which kind of implies the perhaps end of this relationship, or something in it fundamentally changing. Whether maybe it's not even anything in the relationship itself, maybe it's just Isaac's perspective on it. Obviously, I think one of my favorite lines on the whole record comes in this part of the song. We're all working on ourselves and we're praying that the rest don't mind how much we've changed. That's a great lyric. That's phenomenal. And also the one right past it. So if you see me looking strange with a fresh style, I'm still not feeling that great. It's a neat way to open the song and very much kind of coaxes you in, being like, oh, okay, this is a slow one. This one's gonna take a while, but I'm in for the ride. The second bit of the song is the "and I haven't felt this way in like ever" bit. The middle portion, where it kind of picks up a little bit, goes a little emo-y, kind of goes a little faster. I love that bit. That one took the longest to grow on me. Personally, like, I thought it was kind of fun, but I was just kind of waiting to get to the end part. But it's the first kind of moment of true release on this song, and I really enjoy it. The "I am the convo, you are the weather," very much painting this picture of like, I am simply a tool for you. I am something you can move as you please. That is all I am. That is my purpose. That is my existence. I am just a vessel for your will, which I think is a really cool metaphor. The sound of it's just also very fun, but truth be told, the third section of the song is and will always be the best. That final climax is gratifying as hell. The way he delivers the lines, even though they're a little bit thinking about the "in my bedsheets now wet" of "Charlie, I pray to forget." The way he screams those lines, and I encourage you to listen to the live at Elizabeth Hall version. I might show it to you next time we get together to listen to the next record, just because it is an iconic performance. That guy, I'm surprised his lungs didn't rupture on stage. But it's just, and it has also the line, "Your generous loan to me, your crippling interest," which I think, again, like a lot of previous lyrics on the song, tie everything together beautifully. And yeah, it doesn't really feel like an ending. It doesn't really feel like anything is solved or changed, which I think is just a symptom of the record's theme and story. It's an acknowledgement directly of the problem, but it's not the problem solved. It's not a happy ending. Even if the instrumentals might paint it as very triumphant and climactic, no, it's not really an ending to this story, which I think adds to the tragedy of it. But as a song to finish the record, I think it's very strong. And though it took the longest time to grow on me, being long and being slow, and me not really getting that kind of music, even to this day, it's become a highlight on the record for me, and I think it's really good. Yeah. You have anything you want to add, I guess?
I do. Okay, there was actually a few bits in there I wanted to touch on. First of all, I do agree with you with the end bit probably being the best. It is the best, not probably. It is quite amazing to hear him just go off like that. And it probably is the part that I think I take the least issue with, because it is the most gratifying. I maintain my statement that I wish it wasn't the end of the album. To me, it is not an ending that I care for. It's kind of a case where we did it for literally our first test episode of this show, this podcast or whatever. We listened to an album called Nobody's Listening, and I had a similar issue with the final track of that album, because to me, that was not a satisfying ending. It didn't feel like, to me, a gratifying, cathartic way to finish off a grand tale. And I feel like there's a similar issue here for me. Maybe I'm just classic. Maybe I just like the story being resolved in a way that makes it all kind of come up together and at least narratively and like thematically makes sense. Or maybe I'm right and you're wrong and you're kind of stupid and I'm always right about everything. I don't know. Only God can really answer that question.
Only
but I want to reiterate, I don't think it's a bad song.
Cancel that question.
So,
I've got the people on my side, Pyrine.
I really want to reiterate, I don't think Basketball Shoes is bad. I don't think a single album on this. I think a single track on this album is bad. I think they're all great. They're all, to me, they're all at least B's. Like, they're all at least B's, and most of them are up in A's. Like, but funny. But it's like,
No, it wasn't.
it's just when you kind of stick it to that. Especially to me, this track came after, in my opinion, a set of the 3 of the best songs of this entire album, one of which is just my favorite song in the entire album.
Can I guess which
that's
one that
kind
one
of
is?
another
Because I mean, it's the pick. It's the place where he inserted the blade. Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
It is. That is my favorite song on the album.
Yeah.
That is the one that actually manages to do the most to me. That is the one that actually hits me. I think with its actual theming and lyrication, it does it all right to me. It is just so beautiful. That song is like the death of childlike innocence.
You like it because they go la la in the song, don't you? Fucking hell!
I like that. I like that.
They go la la, and he goes la la, and then he reads the song a 10 out of 10. This guy is.
Well, like I'm in my booster seat, like my fucking table in front of me. Just slap my hands together. No. I'm serious. It makes me think about what you said about this album being kind of about, anxiety in relation to change. That this is like you transitioning onto another part of your life, looking back at like, oh my god, oh my fucking god, everything's changing. This to me is like the album you listen to when you're moving out for the first time. You know what I mean? When you're actually leaving home and going into a new environment and you're living off on your own for the first time. This is the album I would suggest you listen to.
For the First Time by Black Country New Road.
Yeah.
That's the name of their
It's really
first
funny,
album.
guys.
That's the name of their first album.
He's really funny, guys.
It's called For the First
He's really
Time.
funny, guys.
For
He's
the
really
first
funny, guys.
time in forever. Where's that from? We're gonna move on before I embarrass myself even more.
Hold on. Just can you hold like just 1 second?
No, I'm good.
Just one. Okay.
You're an asshole, dude. What did I do to deserve this? What's wrong with you? I mean, I know what I did to deserve it, but
I'm gonna strangle you.
What did you do to deserve this?
My hands around your neck, just like Homer Simpson strangling Bart. What do you want to say about the place where he inserted the blade?
Yeah, right. That's a really, really good one. For the longest time, it was my favorite until like literally maybe a year ago, where I kind of like rediscovered my love for Haldern, and that kind of eclipsed it. But it is probably my second favorite on the record. It's either that one or Bread Song these days. But yeah, the place where he inserted the blade is fantastic. A lot of the great lyrics. I mixed vocals and lyrics and got locals, which is just another word. Yeah.
He said word wrong. He said word. Laugh. I would never
laugh
do
at this
that.
user. No, great lyrics, great song progression. The group vocals at the end of the song. Yes, the la da is great. Really memorable moment on the record. I mean, this is the most popular track for a reason, which I think is kind of surprising considering how long it is, until you look at a lot of the other track lengths. Like Concord is 6 minutes, Bread Song is 6 minutes, Good Will Hunting's almost 5, Haldern is 5. So it's not actually crazy long. It's just a little bit longer in comparison to those tracks. And it's the shortest of the last 3, which are the longest. But I think it doesn't overstay its welcome too much. It's very powerful, has easily the coolest song title that Black Country New Road will ever make. Wow. And yeah, it's a really great metaphor for the way I interpret the song is that it is kind of like, well, show me the place where he inserted the blade, is basically tying into maybe that partner in this relationship had been hurt, and it's kind of more of that giving all to this person who might not reciprocate it. Also, of course, the chorus bit, or pre-chorus bit, every time I make lunch for anyone else in my head, I end up dreaming of you, which is like that sort of inability to separate yourself from this person, which obviously ties into the record more. It's a really good song. Give me some deets, man. Why do you like this one?
I think I do
No,
that
you
sometimes.
don't. I don't believe you.
Okay, well, you don't have to say it in front of the fucking audience.
Maybe I do. This is my show.
You're right. I'm sorry. I don't think.
You better admit you're stupid or you're fired. I need those notes about ants from up there tomorrow or you're fired.
Sorry, hitting myself on the head.
Sorry. What do you think about the place where you inserted the blade?
Sorry, I didn't know I was allowed to speak. I don't know. I was like thinking I was allowed to speak. No, dude. Oh my god, the fucking way it just opens up the instrumentation, the fucking
piano
flute, when they bring that in,
Whoa.
just hurts. It hurts. And like some of the lyrics are just really nice. Like, oh my god, it takes a few years, but they break bones. It takes a few months, but our bones here. We're strong. We tell our school friends. They sign our castle
playground. The rest of my body, it's yours, man. Oh, yeah, it's really good.
I'm like. It honestly, it's like, to me, kind of brings out this theme, like this idea of the being, what is it? This happens in a lot of like songs. It actually doesn't do it the best here in my opinion, but it does bring out the idea of the way the vocalist kind of views himself as like this pathetic, I'm not worth it, I am a person who fails and I cannot do things on my own. I am like a child. I am like this figure who needs a parental guide in my life in order to do anything, because I feel pathetic. Like the world constantly like reaffirms to me that I am pathetic, and like that kind of underlying misery, frustration that kind of just boils from that, and the kind of general idea of just being in that state of mind of feeling like, yeah, I'm just a fucking loser, dude. And like everyone else is so cool. You know what I mean?
I guess so, yeah. No, that's true. But yeah, no, that track's really, really great. I know you said that Basketball Shoes was your least favorite, and it followed up your 3 favorite songs on the record, which makes me want to talk about 2 other songs that I'm really curious about your thoughts on, especially Snow Globes. Really?
Yes.
Really? Because for context, Snow Globes is probably my least favorite song on the record. I think it's just a bit too repetitive. I think it drags, which was your criticism of Basketball Shoes. And I think it's just like, I don't know. It doesn't hit for me lyrically like the other songs do. Also, the drumming on that track could get a bit obnoxious. I like Fantano's phrasing of it, where he said it feels like you're experiencing the climax of that track from inside one of the toms, just because of how the drums are mixed. And I was like, yeah. But what do you think about Snow Globes? What does it for you?
Sorry, that's just a funny way of putting it. Snow Globes honestly grew on me quite a lot. I originally remember, like, I didn't really care for it. I thought it was just like okay compared to everything else, but I started listening to it more, and it was like, this actually kind of slaps. Because I feel like what you said as issues for the song actually really works for me. I love the way it repeats those one lyrics. I love the way it hits you with the fucking percussion. I love the way that, despite the fact it doesn't move, it's drawn out. It's like it literally ties into the main line that they repeat over and over again. Oh God of weather, Henry knows, snow globes don't shake on their own. They say that like 50 times, especially at the end of the song. And it's like just that moment of like, please do something. Please add something to this. Please let this not be just me. Please. Because realistically, that feels more realistic to me. That's like what you actually think. You're not moving from that thought. You're like, please. Like, you keep saying that in your head over and over and over again. Like, please. It's not just like a one-time thing. You don't have the thought of, oh my god, I wish I wasn't the only one contributing to this relationship. I wish I didn't feel like I was being unappreciated and undervalued. I wish I didn't feel like I was the only one here. That's not a one-time thing. It keeps happening over and over, and you get stuck in that moment. And I love how it makes it feel like that. I love how it sticks you in that moment to kind of draw you into the theme, to like mold you into it. And obviously, big fan of the fact it has some religious and some homosexual undertones that kind of go into each other, having to deal with the issue of like, hey, oh my god, I want to kiss that lovely Bara daddy over there, and I worship Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. Oh my god.
I will say, I do want to clarify, I don't think Snow Globes is a bad song. I just think it's the weakest one, and I already explained my reasons why. I just wanted to put that out there. I still think it's a really good song. I mean, there's not a bad song on the record. I mean, hell, even its interlude is really good, which is the other song I want to touch on. Mark's theme in your top 3.
Yeah, honestly. I feel a bit guilty about putting that in my top 3, to be honest, because I feel like it is just... Of course you would put that in your top 3. It just hurts, dude. That one actually just...
Ooh.
Yeah, it reminds me of, in Omari, the song Duet.
Ooh.
It's got similar vibes to it. If you know what I'm talking about.
No, Omori is one of my favorite games. I can see that. It is, I really like it as it's a sweet homage to one of the band members' uncles. I don't know if it's Isaac's or somebody else's, but it's somebody's uncle, Mark, as the title would imply. It is just a gorgeous little bit. I think it really well separates the record. I wouldn't put it in my top tracks, because I don't think it does enough to earn that spot for me. But in terms of what it is, it's basically perfect. And I agree with you. It's gorgeous. It's really emotionally potent. And yeah.
That's why I feel guilty about it, because it doesn't really do anything for, like, I don't think the themes of the album, it doesn't really add to it. It's just kind of there. But to me, if that was a single, dude, that I would be all over it. But as it kind of stands, it's just like the reason it's not in the top for me is because it just doesn't sink in like perfectly with what they're doing. It just kind of feels like they put it there. But
yeah,
I have a really big soft spot for music that just like kind of gives an ode to people that have passed. And it's kind of representative of who they were, and kind of like a litany on that.
I can't wait till we start listening to Pink Floyd. This motherfucker's gonna like Shine On You Crazy Diamond. He's gonna really like that song. But yeah, that's pretty real. I would be inclined to agree. But in general, yeah, like I said at the start of this video, and like I will say again, I don't think there's a single bad moment on this record for me. I said it before. This is, like, for a while, it was my favorite album ever. Now it's, like, comfortably in the top 3. I think it is a pivotal album to how I enjoy music and who I am as a person, and word vomit, all the stuff I said in the past, like, hour. I would give it a 99 out of 100.
A 99?
A 99.
Okay.
Which by a couple points is the highest score I've given on the show. So, yeah.
And if you guys ever get confused about what we say, go ahead and click on the video so where you get the scrolling icon up, and just go ahead and scroll back to the start so you can listen to what we say it again. You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah.
As for my score, I'd probably give it around a 90. I'd probably give it a straight 90.
Ooh, okay. You know what? That's really good, because at the start of the video, I was really scared. You made it like, my opinions have changed. I think it's good. And I was like, oh no.
If it gets in the 90s, it's great.
Yeah.
But I also get way more critical of something when it gets above a 90, because then it has to start doing everything right. That's when I lock in, and it needs to start doing everything perfectly. Yeah. And if it doesn't do that, it drops off for me.
I agree with you, and I shit you not. Like, literally, I cite this. I was like, Snow Globes, to me, is the reason this album isn't a 100, because it is a good song. It's a really good song, among basically perfect songs. So it's like, I cannot for the life of me call it perfect, because it's not, but it's so good. You know, it's nearing perfection. And it's one of the best albums I've ever heard, and probably will ever hear. But yeah, unless there's anything else you want to add, we'll wrap things up.
I suggest listening to it, and I suggest if you know someone that might be interested in it, also show them. I maintain what I said. I think this album is accessible, and I think most people would find something at least slightly enjoyable within it. And I think they would come away not having been lessened by the experience of listening.
Ideally, make sure you're in a good place when you listen to this record. I feel like I should mention that. There's a certain friend.
No driving.
If she's watching this video, hi! There's a certain friend that I've been wanting to show this album for a while, but have deliberately held back on because I know it would do terrible, terrible things to them. And yeah, be warned, this is a very heavy listen. But without further ado, next week, we are going to be listening to this record back on Radiohead. We've been alternating Radiohead albums every other episode. Next episode is going to be Kid A, and I'm very excited to show it to you and hear your thoughts. I think you're really going to like it. Yeah. But
I think I remember actually listening to that one.
I think that's about it. We'll see you guys in that next video. Bye-bye. Adios.
Yeah, bye-bye, la, whatever. I got end video bit. That's what it has got to do. When am I getting my fucking paycheck, dude? I'm fucking sick and tired of faking my opinions on everything for this shit. Just making it all up. You know what how much I have to fucking pay my interns to listen to this music and write notes for me? It's getting ridiculous. It's getting ridiculous.
Hey?
And honestly, I'm starting to get. I'm starting to rethink this whole thing.
opinions?
You know, I'm starting to rethink. I'm starting to think this.
That's it. I'm calling Jordan. Hey, we
Wait,
need a replacement on the
Don't replace me.
podcast.
Wait.